One day I'm gonna be everything I wanna be. I don't let it get the most of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be everything I'm gonna be. My future right in front of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be free. Then let me be free.
From the depths of darkness, a voice emerges. A host with a fire burning in his soul. With a heart, steel, and a spirit unbroken. He rides on two wheels, ready to claim his throne. Amidst the chaos and the thunderous roar, insane wheels rise as a force to be reckoned with. Fueled by the power that only metal can bestow, he takes his step, refusing to submit. Insane wheels hear his battle cry. Metal and mayhem will never die. Whistles report he pays his way. Oh, legend in the making, day by day.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are magically still here and alive and well on a Whip 'em Out Wednesday. Great to see everybody, man. As you guys can see, there is a fuck ton that we're going to be discussing this morning. Listen, I mean, like a lot. So, the way that I have this titled is Iran War Latest, as well as Supreme Court Birthright Citizenship Arguments. Trump is going to be attending that today, by the way. And then Artemis 2 update, as well as, you know, that whole thing with NASA. We are following it. They were I think they're supposed to launch sometime as early as today, but it could be a day or two delayed. But I don't even know that whole story right now and when they're exactly planning on launching. But nonetheless, let's go ahead and focus our attention onto our chronological timeline of what we're going to be discussing this morning. So, Middle East war, Saudi Arabia, UAE privately push U.S. to keep fighting Iran. Now, that is going to be some interesting developments for sure. And then we also have Supreme Court to hear birthright citizenship arguments. I believe that they're going to be meeting today. Yes, it confirms. The Supreme Court on Wednesday will hear arguments over President Trump's effort to end birthright citizenship. And yes, Trump is also even attending that whole thing. So, and then Trump talks Iran, gas prices, mail-in voting, Tiger Woods, and more. Yesterday, he does pretty well at being able to come out there and just discuss to the media, and that's exactly what we've got. As well as an update on the airport that is over there in, I believe, Palm Beach. Yes, Palm Beach International Airport is now going to be renamed. Basically, I don't know if it's Donald Trump International Airport or Trump International Airport. It's going to be something like that. Anyways, yes, so that is happening. And Ron DeSantis, Governor DeSantis, signed a bill to rename Palm Beach International Airport after President Donald Trump. Very interesting. And that's very close to where the Mar-a-Lago is. I believe it's something within like 10 minutes or something. And then we have Trump to address the nation on Iran war Wednesday. And yes, that is something that he's going to be doing today, I believe tonight, a Wednesday night. So around the time that we're going to be doing the Diamond Effect this evening, there should be something going on around that time. And then we have Trump says U.S. will leave Iran in 2 to 3 weeks. Possible we'll make a deal.
Stop the cap.
Now, there is a little bit of leeway in some things with this whole thing that makes us look like that we might be going in the right direction. We'll discuss that here in a minute. We got lawmakers may suspend gas tax as prices hit highest levels since 2022. 2022. So listen, yeah, I think that would be a very, very smart thing for all, basically the nation to do. And then as soon as gas prices come down, you can put your gas tax right back on it. I mean, we have enough oil that, I mean, we should be selling it so that we don't have this problem right now. But unfortunately, that's what we're up against. Trump signs order on mail-in voting integrity, introduces barcode tracking on ballots. And that came out, by the way, 12 hours ago. It came out 10 o'clock last night, something like that. So we're going to definitely be talking about that and the voter integrity. And then we got Trump to attend birthright citizenship arguments at Supreme Court. As I already told you guys that's what's going to be happening later this evening. Iran asked for ceasefire, quote, "we will consider." And yes, I guess from Donald Trump, he came out earlier this morning and saying, listen, Iran came to me and asked us for a ceasefire. And basically Trump said, if you don't reopen the strait, then we're just going to bombard you guys. And I'm using a kinder YouTube word right now. So yeah, that's what's happening there. Let's go ahead and get ahead here. And let's see, we've got one more story. Fueling operations underway for Artemis 2 mission. So as you guys know, with the whole thing with NASA and them launching this operation, fueling operations began Wednesday morning ahead of the scheduled launch of Artemis 2. The 2-hour launch window opens at 6:24 p.m. Eastern time, which is today, by the way. So they are going to be launching off today. And I believe there's 4 astronauts that are going up there with them. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, real quick, before we get into the craziness with you guys and all of this stuff, let's go and do our call to actions real quick. Make sure you guys hit that like button and double tap that screen if you're on the vertical side. It is absolutely free to do so. And hit that subscribe button, man. This is what we do Monday through Friday. And then, of course, members only for Saturday morning, man. And speaking of members, please consider becoming a member, starting only at $3.99 a month. We're making sure we're not breaking the bank out there with anybody. But check it out. This is what allows us to be on these airwaves as well as have these lights on. So thank you guys for becoming members and staying members. Absolutely. Little side note here, follow my Instagram at BallValveTV, where I post everything behind the scenes of not only my life, but as well as the show, Millennial Food Time, breaking news, as well as the campaign trail, man. Also, we have a Discord server for all of you legends where we discuss all of these topics after the show's over. Obviously, we're only live for about an hour. Go in the video description down below and get that invite link, man. Most of us, I would say 95% of us are in there, but let's make that 100%. And last but not least, all super chats, super stickers, gifted memberships, and membership signups are, of course, going to be presented live and shouted out onto the show. But if you guys would like to skip that YouTube 30% brutal cut that they take from your hard-earned cash, we have these platforms that are scrolling around the screen, and anytime you guys can donate to those, and I get 100% of the proceeds, as well as I will read out loud anything that comes our way, just like a super chat. So I'm always be scanning. I've got my email up and watching. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, great to see everybody in the chat, man. Thank you all for being here. We got so many legends in here. We got Jack Telcott. Good morning to you. Great to see you in the chat. Blessings all around to you and everybody. We got KP as well as brother Charles Darwin from Down Under. Shout out to my man in that fake country of yours. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, dude. Don't
stop the cap.
Don't get crazy with me. We got Chatting with Stacks in the building. Shout out to my man. Hopefully you're enjoying the morning as well. Jimmy Mack, shout out to you as well. Brother Steve Easy, thank you all for being here. Let's see. We got Warliner. Shout out to my man. As well as Liquored Up a Poncho. Thank you guys. Scrolling. Man, you guys are fast with it. We got Carrie, Rob's neighbor, as well as SST and Crystal Kitten. Good morning to you guys. Scrolling down as fast as possible. Fidel, shout out to you, man. Good morning. We got Sick Bastard as well. Shout out to you. And, of course, Naomi. Thank you guys for being here. All right, let's go ahead and bring this up. And this is going to be our very first story of the morning. Saudi Arabia, as well as UAE, privately push U.S. to keep fighting Iran.
I do want to bring in Jabed Ali, Associate Professor of Practice with the University of Michigan's Gerald R. Ford School of Public Policy. He's worked at the Defense Intelligence Agency, the Department of Homeland Security, and the FBI. Joining us now live. And Jabed, as always, thank you so much for taking the time to join us and breaking down the operation as a whole.
What's up, Wildcard? Happy Whip 'em Out Wednesday, man. Good morning.
Josh,
let's get the lights up, everybody.
Thank you.
And first off, Jabed, I did want to talk to you about some of the information that we've received so far, because we are more than a month into this operation. This is month 2 of Operation Epic Fury.
Now, because we got a lot to discuss, there's a lot of things we're going to be like getting a little bit of and then moving on. As you guys know me to do, we're going to get the straight monologue and then basically move on. I mean, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 stories to get through this morning, and we've got an hour to do it. Anyways, let's go ahead and speed them up on 1.25.
Does it appear that there is any end in sight at this point?
Joseph up there in Canada,
Josh,
shout out.
Right now, it would appear that both the U.S. and Israel and Iran on the other side have dug in for this protracted fight. And whatever the calculus was at the beginning of February 28th and those first few days, if not first week, whatever the thought was that the regime would collapse or the IRGC would somehow be so degraded militarily that it wouldn't be combat effective as an organization, well, that hasn't happened. Now, doesn't mean that the U.S. and Israeli campaign has not delivered significant effects against Iran. Clearly, it has over 10,000 airstrikes to date, and that number is probably growing by the day. But at the same time, as we all know, the regime is still intact, even though there are different people now in different leadership positions in Iran. The IRGC continues to have a supply of ballistic missiles and drones and other capabilities that...
What's up, Cameron? Shout him. Hopefully you're enjoying your Whip 'em Out Wednesday. We definitely are.
One would have thought this far into the campaign that those capabilities would have been significantly degraded, or Iran had depleted the inventory of those weapons. And then the closing of the Straits of Hormuz, or the controlling the access in and out of the Straits of Hormuz. These are all things that 5 weeks in make it really difficult to assess what the next 5 weeks are going to look like.
And Javed, I wanted to show you this video right here. You may have already seen it, but it's coming in from Truth Social. I've talked about it throughout the morning, as this is an explosion there from the U.S. strikes that took place. This is right outside of Isfahan. Can you explain to folks out there the significance of that?
We showed that one yesterday.
Because we know there's uranium enrichment site there in that location, and this appears to be a massive explosion.
So
yes, and I believe it had something to do with some sort of energy. I think it was some sort of fuel.
Going back to last summer, if your viewers remember, when the U.S. Launched Operation Midnight Hammer, that was the more limited operation to hit basically the crown jewels of Iran's nuclear program. The 3 different facilities at Isfahan, Fordow, and Natanz, all involved in some aspect of either enriching uranium, storing uranium, other aspects of the nuclear fuel cycle. And I'm not a nuclear scientist, but those were significant operations last year. And here we are 9 months later, and we're seeing both the U.S. and Israel again attack the same sites. Now, whether they're precisely targeting the same locations that they did last summer, unclear, but we don't know the state of Iran's nuclear program, either in the 3 locations that were already struck going back to last year, or even what effects have been delivered now. And Josh, you mentioned one of the key issues that apparently the Trump administration is wrestling with is what to do with the roughly 1,000 pounds of highly enriched uranium that Iranians probably still possess based on previous international inspections of their nuclear program. And that's the...
Yeah, good luck finding any of it under that underground tunnel network they got.
Nuclear material that theoretically could be used to produce a nuclear weapon, even though it doesn't seem like Iran was there even before.
We already know all this shit. It's just a matter of finding it. You know what I mean? Anyways, we don't need to see this video go over and over again. We already know this. Let's see if there's anything new on this report. It looks like there is something here. Let's go ahead and skip up to it. From the IDF, it says exposed. Hezbollah has seized control of the Christian village of Qaza, and I think that's how you say that, Qaza, and is launching terror attacks from within it. Hezbollah has launched rockets and missile launches and anti-tank fire from inside the village, a repeated strategy that dangerously exploits civilians as human shields. Yeah, that's fucking brutal, man. All right, we're going to move on, though. We're going to get into the Supreme Court here a little bit. So, as you guys know, today there's the Supreme Court hearing of Birthright citizenship, and Trump is actually going to be attending that hearing. So anyways, let's go ahead and bring this up and quickly discuss it. We don't need to sit here and ponder on it on like a 15-minute story or anything, but we can at least get a little bit of details that is happening for today.
Thanks for being with us here on Live Now from Fox. I'm your host, Christina Evans. Again, we do want to continue to cover some of...
Real quick, we got to give a special shout out to Tiffany as well as Miss Lotus. Thank you guys for being here. Hopefully you both are enjoying your Whip 'em Out Wednesday.
These top stories that we're going to be watching. Putting this up on your screen there from Reuters, as tomorrow is going to be a very big day for the Supreme Court. They're going to be...
Yeah, Serge, it's an all-day thing. It's not like we're going to be able to play any of it and wrap it all up in an hour. It's not going to happen. We're going to have to talk about it tomorrow morning. So that's what we do. We don't sit here for 8 hours live streaming news and shit. No, we do this all within 1 hour, and then we're back the next morning. So
whether or not President Trump's executive order seeking to end birthright citizenship is going to withstand constitutional and legal muster. Of course, this is a case that tests a key aspect of the president's second-term immigration agenda. This case, known as Trump versus Barbara.
Yeah, Gary, it's actually very simple. If you look at all the major top countries in the world, and that being Western civilization as well, but Europe and all of that stuff, there is none of this birthright citizenship stuff. So
Questions if President Trump's order that was issued back on his first day back in the White House is in.
Steve Easy, I did my time. Do you know how long I did 8-hour live streams per night when I was off of work? I did that shit, I mean, for well over 10 years, you know, but I mean, not 10 years of 8-hour live streams. I did 8-hour live streams for, I would say, straight, maybe about 4 or 5 years. And then I reduced it down to like 6 hours or something like that. But anyways.
Violation of the 14th Amendment's citizenship
now we don't do any of
clause
that.
And federal immigration law. So to talk a lot more about what we may hear from the court tomorrow, I'd like to bring in immigration attorney Sushant Modi. Sushant, thanks so much for being with us here on Live Now from Fox.
Hi, thanks for having me back on, Christina. Good to see you.
Of course, there's so much to unpack, though, with a conversation like this. Very big day for the Supreme Court tomorrow. But there might be folks at home who have been
which is today, by the way.
Talking or maybe even listening into those conversations about birthright citizenship who aren't exactly clear on what that is and is tied to the 14th Amendment. Can you break that down for us first?
Sure. So the 14th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, it was ratified in 1868. So to give us an idea of this.
Oh, I got a question for this guy.
Why are you gay? You are gay.
Facts.
What it says is all persons born in the United States, subject to the jurisdiction thereof, are U.S. citizens. And so the key element here is, what does it mean to be subject to the jurisdiction thereof? And that's the key point that the Supreme Court is going to look at. Now, historically speaking, just to take a step back, everyone born in the United States has been deemed to be a U.S. citizen, except for very, very limited or narrow.
Yeah, it's kind of funny, Steve. When I do something, I go all out. Like, I don't know, man. Maybe that's the West Coast in me, you know? I don't know what the deal is, but yeah, I totally obsess over having, like, something like the best, you know, stream house ever built. You know what I mean? Like, but I'll tell you one thing that's a fact, though. You know, it looked great, and it is great. But, man, I took a major financial loss on that thing. But I'm glad that I did it because I learned a lot as well. I did it probably a little prematurely. You know, I should have been doing something like that when I had the audience that I have now, for instance. But nonetheless, everything happens for a reason. And that's why I'm very blessed to be doing what I'm doing now.
There are exceptions. Think of like diplomats, for example, born here aren't U.S. citizens, or Native American Indians. But other than that, historically speaking, for over a century, over 125 years, it's generally been the rule that if you're born in the United States, you're a U.S. citizen, despite your parents' immigration status.
All right, we certainly appreciate you breaking that down, because that is the
I would say it definitely goes on the overboard level, Steve.
Center of this entire discussion. And Sushant, when it comes to tomorrow, the Supreme Court, they're going to be hearing these oral arguments. What's at the center of this when the court is being asked to decide? What's the specific legal question there?
This is the last question we're going to take from this, because we don't need to speculate on any of this shit. We're going to find this out today, and then we're going to report it tomorrow anyways.
Yeah, it's an excellent question. It's going to be that specific statement of how the Supreme Court interprets subject to this jurisdiction.
Correct. Everything is subject to interpretation, and that's what Trump is basically telling the Supreme Court to reevaluate their interpretation
thereof. I mean, you know, even if we just look at a common example of it, it doesn't talk about the plain language of the U.S. Constitution. It doesn't talk about anything related to the parents. So it doesn't say, you know, subject to the parents being permanently living here. So if we look at like the plain language reading of it, which a lot of conservative justices do.
Yeah, I really wish when this amendment was put into the Constitution, I really wish that they had been a little bit more thoughtful on how they could protect You know, like, I understand the ideology back then. They weren't probably thinking about illegals coming in here and then having a baby, and now they're theoretically, because the Constitution says birthright citizenship, right? So they should have, when they added that, I think that they should have been more specific in saying if the parents are, you know, legal citizens, you know, as well as like the qualifications, legal parents and being born in the United States are the two qualifying things to be United States citizen or something. I don't know.
It doesn't speak about the parents' domicile.
Right.
And then, of course, there's
he is
the
right
famous
about.
ARC case that you had
Listen, he may be gay, but he's right on this.
posted earlier. And that's the seminal case. That's the crucial case that's interpreted that provision of the 14th Amendment.
I'm glad you brought that up because that was a landmark.
Thank you, Cameron. Yeah, I'm not willing to put you guys through bullshit. I'm not willing to sit through bullshit myself. Why would I do it to you guys? You know, a lot of people come on here on media, not just YouTube, just media. They want to fill it up to get quote unquote content. That to me is not content. That's bullshit. It's filler. I like getting the exact facts. And this is what the reason why we built the show the way it is because when I was growing up, I always thought it would be so cool to have a two-way conversation with the news anchor, for instance, when I'm listening to news or something, and I could ask a question, or I can interject and say, no, you're wrong, you got the wrong information, and here's the actual information, or whatever. And so I've always wished that I would be able to do that one day, but magically, I mean, that was back before live streaming was like that, you know? And so, I don't know, man. I hate bullshit.
Case that happened back in the 1800s, if I'm not mistaken. So how is that going to tie in to some of the arguments that are likely?
Oh, Steve Easy, real quick. Yes, I did see that a federal judge blocked the ballroom thing. Now, the truth is if this ballroom was being funded by U.S. tax dollars, then yes, they would be correct that it would need to go through Congress. But they're sadly mistaken on this one. There's not a single tax dollar being used. It's all basically private companies that came together and gave money. So that's where we're going to see a little bit of right now they're going through the appeal process, and Trump is totally, he's like, no, they totally got this wrong, you know, and this is a legitimate thing where there's no U.S. tax dollars, so Congress doesn't need to say shit.
To happen tomorrow.
That's exactly right. It was in 1898. To give us a historical example, because this is what the Supreme Court's looking at, it was the first major case to interpret the 14th Amendment, and it was only a merely 30 years after the 14th Amendment was ratified. So this is the way our jurisprudence works, is the Supreme Court's going to look at what were the framers' intent. And in that case, in the ARC case, what happened was it was not during a good time of U.S. history. It was during the Chinese.
We got Brother Sterling Wheel up in the building. Shout out to my man. Hopefully you're enjoying your Whip 'em Out Wednesday. I definitely know that we are. Make sure you guys get the likes up, man. Let's double tap that screen if you guys are on the vertical side, and hit the like button if you're on the horizontal. Thank you, guys.
Exclusion Act. So there's a lot of racial discrimination against Chinese nationals at the time. And in fact, that act didn't allow Chinese nationals to become U.S. citizens. In the ARC case...
Damn, Brother Sterling Wheel coming in saying good morning, and then all of a sudden dropping a gift of membership for somebody, man. Thank you very much for that. Not only helping me, but helping someone in the Insane Wheels family, bro. Very much appreciate that. All right, so we're not going to talk anymore about that birthright citizenship stuff because, honestly, that was from last night, and the whole hearing is happening today, so I'd rather just give you guys that information when it comes out. Anyways, yesterday, Trump came out and had a little bit of a discussion with the press, and he was talking about Iran, as well as gas prices, mail-in voting, Tiger Woods, and more. So let's go ahead and get a little bit of what is being said here, and we'll figure it out and listen in together. And you know what we haven't done as well, man? You know, Sterling is reminding us we haven't done the money part yet. You know what I mean? Let's go ahead and do that, man. So I very much appreciate that, Sterling.
All right, just get the money part done.
Give me money. Money me. Money now. Me a money needing a lot now.
Those were actual factuals.
Denied.
But I love you guys still, no matter what. All right, here we go.
We want to go out right now. President Trump inside the Oval Office signing an executive order. Let's listen in.
Hi. Oh, yeah.
What's up, Quick Shoe? Good morning to you. So right after he does the executive order, he speaks to the press, I believe. We'll see here.
Well, thank you very much. This was a meeting set up very proudly by us, having to do with voter integrity and mail-in ballots and stopping the massive cheating that's gone on. And so we're going to be signing an executive order. It's, I believe it's foolproof. And maybe it'll be tested, maybe it won't. I think it's very obvious what's said. And I'll ask Will Scharf to start off, attorney, a great talent, a very brilliant young man. And if you could discuss it, and then I'm going to ask Howard Lutnick to say a few words, and then I'm going to sign it, and we'll take a couple of questions. Okay, thank you.
Mr. President, as you said, you have in front of you an executive order that deals with a number of issues relating to election integrity. As you've consistently identified, two of the biggest problems we have with election integrity in this country are, one, inaccurate voter rolls that allow ineligible people to vote in various federal and state elections all over the country, and secondarily, you've consistently identified that vote by mail in this country has become rife with fraud. People returning ballots who aren't eligible to return ballots being sent to people who aren't confirmed to be eligible voters. So what this executive order is going to do is, one, we're going to take federal data. We're going to ensure that each state's election officials are provided with a comprehensive view of who the eligible voters in their jurisdiction actually are, allowing them to properly verify that everybody voting in their elections is legally able to vote. And then it orders the Postmaster General, the U.S. Postal Service, to take bold new measures to verify that ballots both being sent to people are being sent to people who are eligible to vote, and then that ballots being returned are being properly returned by eligible voters only. And we believe that combined, the measures in this executive order will help secure elections in the future and ensure that the many abuses of our election system in the past aren't repeated in future elections.
Right. Howard?
So the fundamentals of our democracy are built on voter integrity.
There he goes.
Right? We all need it. You've said it time and time again. It's a total agreement amongst everybody. So here's the idea.
Yeah, exactly, Steve. Unless it goes through Congress, it's not law. You know, it only works for you for 4 years, and then it can be overthrown. So, overturned, I should say. Yeah, that's why it's obviously, if we can get shit passed or done in Congress, then that's way more effective.
Yeah, the states, right, run these elections. They
this
will,
is just
if they
temporary.
want to use the U.S. mail, the U.S. Postal Service, they're going to get a code, a barcode from the U.S. Postal Service, and they're going to put that on the envelope, and we will have one envelope per vote. None of this time where we have no idea, there's no observers to mail, there's no envelopes, there's no certainty. That's all going to go away, and what the president is doing today is he's going to make sure that mail-in ballots are safe, secure, and accurate, and will have a clear distinction. If you voted by mail, you will have it on the envelope. Obviously not on the ballot, but on the envelope. So we will know 1 million mail-in ballots. There'll be 1 million envelopes, and you'll be able to know exactly, correctly, that citizens voted.
And this came up with some great legal minds. They looked at the various documents and everything that was going on, because the cheating on mail-in voting is legendary. It's horrible what's going on. And it's very clearly covered, very, very clearly. So I think this will help a lot with elections. We'd like to have voter ID. We'd like to have proof of citizenship. And then,
well, this will only work theoretically for this upcoming election, essentially. That's it. And then whoever gets in can just overturn it and go on their merry way.
Be another subject for another time. We're working on that. You would think it would be easy. It's a 98% issue for Republicans. It's 86%. The thing just came out, a poll. And it's 86% with Republicans and Democrats, not leaders, because the leaders of the Democrats cheat. And the only people that don't want to do voter ID are people that cheat. There's no other reason for it. Proof of citizenship, they want to be able to cheat. There's no reason. They have all sorts of reasons, excuses, but it's all nonsense. They want to cheat. But the Democrats themselves are very high. It's a very positive, very, very good thing. The Democrat voters, the Democrat leaders, guys like Schumer, who are corrupt, they want to use it for cheating because their policy is so bad with, think of their policy, open borders for everybody, where people pour into our country from countries all over the world. Think of that. You look at, just take any issue, take anything, everything they have is so crazy. But the fact that they don't want to sign voter ID is another issue. It's a big issue. The fact that they don't have proof of citizenship, that they want transgender for everybody, that they want men in women's sports. So the only way, they assume, the only way they can win is to cheat. When you have men in women's sports, it's fine. It's wonderful. By the way, I worked very hard with the Olympic Committee and got that terminated for the Olympics. Very nice. Now, girls won't have to get beat up in the boxing ring like they did last time, if you saw those fights, too. People that transition.
What's up, Seymour Cannabis? Shout out to my man. Good morning to you.
beat the hell out of everyone, out of other people, women. It was not a pretty sight to watch. So I worked very hard with the Olympic Committee, and we were able to get that out. So the Olympics will not have men in women's sports. But these are the things that they vote on, and that's why we're having a problem with them. They don't want ICE because they don't want people to be taken out of our country that are murderers, that are drug dealers, and that are people from mental institutions, the criminally insane. These are not nice people. And it's amazing. It's not even believable. If you go back 12, 13, 15, 20 years, that we even have to bring up a subject like there will be no trans mutilation. We don't want any transgender mutilization of our children. We don't want to have people pouring into our country from other countries all over the world, where prisons are opened up. All over the world, they're opened up, and they pour into our country. Murderers, 11,888 murders. Think of that. We got many of them out. And by the way, Washington, D.C. just set a new record for safety, and I'm sure you know that, because, Peter, when you walk down the street, you're not mugged lately. But it's a very safe city now. We took great pains to make it that way, but it actually happened pretty quickly. Within 3 months, it was good. Within 4 months, it was very good. Within 5 months, it was great. Now it's better than it ever was. And so Washington, D.C. is now considered a very, very safe city.
Okay, yeah, but that's irrelevant as fuck, man. Come on, get to the point, please, Trump, please.
A few moments later.
Moved almost 4,000 people, just so you understand. You know, an interesting stat is that 2% of the people create more than 90% of the crime. And the good thing about that is when you get rid of 2%, it's not that many, you don't have a lot of crime. But Washington, D.C., we're very proud of. We're very proud of Memphis, Tennessee, and Louisiana and New Orleans is unbelievable. They had the safest, they just finished their Mardi Gras. They had the safest Mardi Gras in 58 years. The governor just called me. Jeff Landry just called me. He said, it's the safest Mardi Gras in 58 years.
Steve, totally right now.
Because of us. And really, she...
You know what I feel like? Let me give you an audio level of what I feel like.
Bruh. Chicago should call and say we'd like help. New York should call. They've had a lot of problems that we want help. Los Angeles should call and probably will. I think they have to. Now, we're going to have to do something when it comes World Cup time, and we're going to have to force ourselves upon them, which we have the right to do, because we don't want to have any crime. We don't want to have any problems for the Olympics and the World Cup, and even for 250. So with all of that, I'm very happy to be signing the voter integrity, and I think it's going to be really great. So if you don't mind, I will take some time, and I'll make the signature absolutely perfect, so it looks very good.
All right, here he goes. Signing
so far,
it.
So good.
This dude.
Okay, so that's a big deal. Very proud of it. And I don't know how it can be challenged. I'll probably challenge it. You may say find a rogue judge. You get a lot of rogue judges.
No, it'll just be challenged in 3 years.
Bad people, very bad judges. But that's the only way that can be changed. And hopefully, well, we don't appeal if it is, but I don't see how anybody can challenge it. I don't see how they can challenge it. And remember, it's about voter integrity. We want to have honest voting in our country, because if...
By the way, let's hit the like button, everybody. Let's get the likes up. Double tap that screen if you're on the vertical side. I very much appreciate it.
You don't have honest voting, you can't have really a nation, if you want to know the truth. I'll give that to you. Do you have any questions, please?
Yes, Mr. President. As you know, there's issues right now with DHS not being funded. Coast Guard is one of them, which is very...
What's up, Charlie? Good morning.
Important, especially given what's going on with Strait of Hormuz and here in our own country. You have power to transfer control from the Department of Homeland Security to the Navy. Are you considering doing that?
No, I have a lot of powers to do things, and we use the powers where appropriate. Sometimes you don't have to use those powers. You know, they're a little severe. And then people accuse me of being a king. You see, the king, this is the new one. They've been trying for a long time, including 4 years where I was out of office watching how badly this country was run. But they've been trying for a long time. You know what they really are doing is they want to have people coming into our country. They want to have open borders. They want to have criminals coming into our country. They want to have people unchecked, unvetted, coming into our country that you can look at them and say, this is not good. And that's what happened. They allowed 25 million people into our country. Many of those...
Shit. I also challenge anybody to find a politician who's not a narcissist and a YouTuber that's not a narcissist. You got to be somewhat of a narcissist to do these things. That is kind of true.
People were criminals. Many
Actually,
of them
very
were
true.
Drug dealers and murderers and people that were let out of mental institutions, prison populations in some countries. The Congo, almost its entire prison population was allowed to come into the United States of America, the Congo. Many of the countries in South America, they emptied their prisons out into our country. This was under Biden, and nobody can tell me that's a good thing. And yet, they haven't changed their ways, because if they ever took power, they would open up the borders and they would let people pour in and destroy our country. So I have many powers, but I don't have to use them. I mean, only in severe cases. Yeah.
Mr. President, thank you. If you
Next question.
were able to sign the executive order to pay the TSA agents, why not do the same for FEMA and other agencies within the Department of Homeland Security?
Well, FEMA's different, because FEMA, I really believe that it's fine, but I think it's very inefficient. I think, we have smart governors, and one way to tell whether or not they're smart is how well they do. FEMA's a very expensive way of trying to put out a problem. But what I'd rather do is let the states do it and help them financially, but let the states do it. In other words, you'll have a hurricane in Florida, and people will come from Alaska. They haven't been to Florida. By the time they get used to it, the problem can be solved. So I've never been a big fan of FEMA. I like to keep it local. I like to see governors and neighboring states help each other, as opposed to FEMA. FEMA is very expensive, and it really doesn't get the job done. North Carolina, they did a terrible job until I became elected a second time, and I went and we had that tremendous water flood. There was a water hurricane, the likes of which nobody has seen. Land areas that never had lakes all of a sudden had lakes that you couldn't even get to it. And actually, we were helped by Elon Musk with his great communication system that worked very well. We were very lucky, saved a lot of lives. But no, we got to do things right, and if we don't do them right, we shouldn't do them at all. Yeah, please.
Thank you, President Trump. After you said today that's the wrong word, even as soon as the stock market closed much higher, do you have thoughts on that? And also, a judge just ordered you to stop construction of the ballroom. Are you planning to stop?
Well, we'll appeal that, but it's not. I don't know. It's basically. I mean, I wrote a part of his.
This is about the ballroom
Opinion, but basically he's saying I need congressional approval, and he's so wrong. This is being financed privately. It's a donation that's being given by.
Exactly, and that's one thing that he will. On just that merit alone, just that principle alone, he's right. He doesn't need congressional approval.
Companies, very rich people, so that for 150 years they've wanted a ballroom here. We're going to have the finest ballroom anywhere in the world. And he said, we need congressional approval. Well, they don't get congressional approval from the White House. When they do things, they don't, especially when we didn't ask for any tax money. We have no taxes. This is taxpayer free. We have no taxpayer putting up 10 cents. And I see right here, I just wrote it out. He said, we need congressional approval. Well, we built many things at the White House over the years. They don't get congressional approval when they build in the White House. It's totally separate. And especially when it's a donation. I mean, the ballroom is a donation. It's gotten great reviews. People love it. And presidents for 150 years have wanted this ballroom to be built, because when we have President Xi or other presidents or prime ministers coming, we don't have a big room. We have the East Room, which is very small. And he said we need congressional approval. He also said, but this is positive for us, I'm allowed, meaning we are allowed to continue building as necessary to, let's see, what is that? To cover the safety and security of the White House and its grounds. So it says here very carefully, the safety and security have to be protected of the White House grounds. Well, that's what we're doing, because everything's bulletproof glass, et cetera, including the ballroom. And then it goes construction and all of the things necessary. It says personal safety of the president and his staff are a part of that. So it talks about that we're allowed to continue building. In other words, he put an order on, and even that, he gave 14 days. We don't need it, because that's what we're doing. He's allowed to continue building as necessary. And when it talks about the safety and security of the White House and its grounds. So just so you know, I wrote some of the thing down. We have a drone-proof roof, and it talks about the president and his staff. Well, we don't have a lot of bulletproof glass. The White House was built a long time ago. This has the highest level of, in fact, they call this the glass, it's bulletproof and it's ballistic proof. It's very thick. It's like that. And it's going
like ballistic missile proof?
5 feet high, and every window is covered, every door is covered. The roof is drone proof. We have secure air handling systems. You know, bad things happen in the air if you have bad people. We have.
What's up, Ghost? Shout out to you, by the way. Happy Whip 'em Out Wednesday. Definitely know that we are enjoying ours.
Bio defense all over. We have secure telecommunications and communications all over. We have bomb shelters that we're building. We have a hospital and very major medical facilities that we're building. We have all of these things. So that's called, I'm allowed to continue building as necessary. So think of that. for the safety of the president. So we have all these things. So on that, we're okay. Where he's totally wrong, and he made, a statement that's fine, but I'll give you an example. You have right here, $300 to $400 million, depending on finishes. If I use very expensive marble, if I use very expensive wall coatings, if I could bring it up to 400. Otherwise, we're right now ahead of schedule, we're under budget. But depending on finishes, from $300 to $400 million are being given by great people, people that you all know. Rich people, rich companies, big companies. They wanted to see this built because every president, literally for 150 years, has needed a space like this. Many of you have gone to the tent when we have a president of a big country or somebody being honored of.
What's up, my man, Virginia Chaos? Hopefully you're enjoying your Whip 'em Out Wednesday as well. And guys, we have to get the likes up. You guys don't have to like all the craziness that's happening around the world or in politics, any of that. But listen, you guys can like it for me and what we're doing here. So thank you for that.
Great distinction. And they sit in a tent, and if it rains, you get soaked because the grass gets wet here very fast. It's a wet area. They used to call it a wetland, but I guess they don't do that for the White House, but it's essentially a wetland. And when it rains, you're in trouble. The water can go up to 3 to 4 inches over their shoes. That's not a good feeling for who was Prince Charles, who will be here next couple of weeks, is King Charles, who's a great guy. We don't want him to sit in a pool of water. And they've been wanting this for 150 years, and we're building it. And it's covered perfectly. What's not covered perfectly is the fact that the judge said we need congressional approval. Many things have been built in the White House. They haven't gotten congressional approval, especially when the money is being not put up by the taxpayer. The taxpayer's not putting up a dime. This building was necessary for many years by the fact that I've built many ballrooms and I built many things and I know how to build.
What's up, Charles? Over there on the Facebook side of things. I very much appreciate you. Happy Whip 'em Out Wednesday to you, kind sir, as
I'm
well.
not building the Federal Reserve where the guy's spending $4 billion for a tiny little building. $4 billion for the Federal Reserve building. That contractor is going to be one of the richest men anywhere in the world after he finishes the Federal Reserve. The man is totally incompetent. Jerome Powell is totally incompetent, and he's got to get out of office pretty fast. He's doing a bad job, but he's also done a bad job in shepherding the construction of that building. Do you know they ripped down a part of that building, and it was they say it's one of the nicest buildings in Washington. They ripped it down. So we feel, and we don't feel, we know that congressional approval is not necessary to put up a ballroom. And many things have been built on the site, they've never gotten congressional approval. And especially when the money is all put up. This is all donations by people that love our country, that love the White House, and that feel it was very necessary. Yeah.
Well, he made himself clear because he said it 3 times over. All right, guys, we have to move on because we got so many stories to still get through. All right, Trump Airport. Palm Beach International Airport will be renamed after Trump. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis signed a bill to rename Palm Beach International Airport after President Donald Trump. Very, very interesting developments happening here. Let's go ahead and bring this up. I believe this is about 10 minutes away from Mar-a-Lago over there in Florida. Real quick, everybody, we must embrace thy fuck up.
Don't beat yourself up over past mistakes. You are going to fuck up again in the future, quite possibly in a most spectacular fashion. Why worry about yesterday's fuck ups when you have tomorrow's fuck ups to look forward to? You are a fuck up, and fucking up is part of your growth process. Embrace the process.
Embrace thy process. All right, here we go.
And this coming in from Eric Trump on social media, saying that Palm Beach International Airport, now officially President Donald Trump International Airport, proud to have played a small role in making this happen, thanks to those lawmakers and overwhelming majority of the Florida House. Also, some questions about how the FAA is involved. Secretary Sean Duffy saying, working right now, PBI's airport code, the name change, Donald J. Trump International Airport, already official. Stay tuned. All right, let's continue on, bring into the conversation Politico Florida Bureau Andrew Atterbury. Thank you so much for joining us here on Live and Now from Fox. And there's been some movement on this over the last several months. Where do we stand? Is it officially?
I get a feeling that this guy doesn't wear suits that often. I got that little feeling.
The official, the name of this airport now in favor of Trump.
Hey, thanks for having me. Live Now, we watch it all the time. You guys do great work over there, so happy to be here. No, the DeSantis signature, that was the final thing. I mean, the law doesn't totally go into effect until a couple months from now, but I mean, this is all it really needed was that final little signature from him. And then the question now, it's going to be a pretty big undertaking. I think maybe it might not even be really, I think they said between 18 and 24 months. This is what Palm Beach local people said about this. So it's going to be a while before this is fully, up and running as the Donald Trump International Airport. But as far as the change goes, like legislative-wise or policy-wise. It's in the books. It's ready to go.
It is ready to go. So obviously some good timeline there. But take me back a little bit, because we see President Trump in and out of Palm Beach International, now Trump International there almost every Friday and Sunday as he comes to Mar-a-Lago. How long was this? What hurdles did it have to overcome? Obviously, Democrats probably were not in favor of this. Take me through the timeline.
Sure. Well, Florida, it's a supermajority Republican state, so Democrats, all they can really do is say they don't like something, and they did a lot.
What's up, Two-Wheel Jesus out there in Texas? Shout out to you. Hopefully you're enjoying your Whip 'em Out Wednesday as well.
Arguments were that it's.
Let's get the likes up, everybody. We've got over 150 people in here between both live streams. Make sure you guys hit that like button, man. Double tap that screen.
It's normal for this to happen for a sitting president, which is true. It doesn't happen a lot. Something to be named after them like this. You know, you have airports like Reagan, but that was after he was gone. So for having a sitting president, it was very interesting. The Democrats also, they said they objected to his
Did they already put that up there? Damn.
policies and things like that. So they fought it. But Republicans, it was a pretty easy lift for them. They got it through the Senate and the House.
Hey, Ann Carter. So I do, in full transparency, I do have it at 1.25 times playback speed because we run a 1 hour show here. We try not to run too much longer after that. So we try to condense all these crazy stories happening around the world within a single hour. So I do have everything sped up a bit.
Really no issues at all. I think the House bill had more than, I think it was like 20 or 30 co-signers. So lawmakers they liked the bill enough that they want to put their name on it too. So a lot of people got behind it. The big question, though, is they haven't, the Florida session is over, this lawmaking session, 60 days, it's over. They didn't pass the budget, though, so they got to come back and figure out how they want to fund this. And the talk is that it could be anywhere up to $5.5 million the state's going to have to put in to get these name change done. And that's where, like, signs and all kinds of things. And the local government, too, they're even kind of saying that they're worried that there's going to be, they're going to have to pay more, like, in security and things, because this is going to be more of a tourist area now for good and bad.
Extra surprise, good morning to you as well.
We're going to want to come up here and take pictures and be seen at Donald J. Trump Airport. So there's a lot of things that people are kind of worried about. But as far as passing the policy and getting it through, the supermajority of Republicans here had no problems. They started passing them early in this year, and by the end of March, they were ready to go.
All right, so that answers all of that with the airport. All right, we're going to move on. Trump to address the nation on Iran war today, here on Wednesday. He's going to be doing that, I believe, sometime this evening. It's going to be right around the time that we're doing the Diamond Effect. I think it's going to be like that kind of late.
Come back in here too, live now from Fox. I am Andy Mack. Tomorrow night, President Trump will address the nation
which is tonight, by the way. This is from late last night.
Ongoing developments in Iran. This comes just hours after he took questions from reporters saying the U.S. could leave that region in 2 to 3 weeks. This from the White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt saying tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern, President Trump will give an address to the nation to give an important update on Iran. Of course, we are now into the 5th week of this conflict following Operation Epic Fury. President Trump has said that the Strait of Hormuz is up for everyone else to reopen that energy artery, so very vital to the global world economy. So we'll see exactly what details, what he might say later on tomorrow. And of course, tonight, President Trump was in attendance, the final time potentially for him to be at the Trump Kennedy Center before those renovations begin in July, as President Trump and Melania, the First Lady, attended the opening night of Chicago at the Trump Kennedy Center, one of his last visits before the art institution.
So it's going to happen at 9 p.m. It's going to be after, well, yeah, it'll be right as we're ending the Diamond Effect, because we start at 7:10 p.m. Central, which is 8:10 Eastern. We go until about 9:10. So yeah, it's happening at 9. Good to know.
Your renovation set to begin in July. Trump is set to attend this
I'll be
performance
watching
alongside his wife. It will be the first time together at the Kennedy Center since they were there for the premiere of the documentary Melania. Live picture there in Washington, D.C. at the White House.
Shit. All right, we're going to move on real quick. We got Trump says U.S. will leave Iran in 2 to 3 weeks. Possible, quote, will make a deal.
Stop the cap.
All right. I hope that is, true, but I don't believe it. Anyways, there is one strong signal, though, is that Iran did ask for a ceasefire of some sort. That happened this morning. So that is good news.
Okay, continuing to get updates on the war in the Middle East. President Trump, by the way, going to be giving a primetime address to the nation tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, 6 p.m. Pacific Time. No doubt that will be a major event, and it's something that we're going to have to track closely to see what direction this war is headed in the immediate future. We did, by the way, get this in from Caroline Leavitt saying that presidents will talk to the nation. It's Going to be something that we plan to carry here live in full as soon as it begins. Something we have not been able to play on air yet tonight is Secretary Rubio. He posted a video on social media earlier today. Let's watch.
Many Americans are asking, why did the United States have to attack Iran now? Well, let me explain. Iran wants to have nuclear weapons. Of that, there is zero doubt. If what they truly wanted, which is what they claim, is nuclear energy, well, they could have nuclear energy like all the other countries in the world have it. And that is, you import the fuel and you build reactors above ground. That's not what Iran has done. They build their reactors and their facilities deep in mountains, away from the public glare. And they want to enrich that material. The same equipment that they could use to enrich material for energy, they could use to quickly enrich it to weapons grade. So it is clear that they've been offered every opportunity to have a nuclear program that allows them to have energy, not weapons. And every single time they have turned it down. But why the attack now? Well, what was Iran trying to do? Iran was trying to build a conventional shield, in essence, have so many missiles, have so many drones that no one could attack them, and they were well on their way. We were on the verge of an Iran that had so many missiles and so many drones that no one could do anything about their nuclear weapons program in the future. That was an intolerable risk. Under no circumstances can a country run by radical Shia clerics with an apocalyptic vision of the future ever possess nuclear weapons. And under no circumstances can they be allowed to hide and protect that program and their ambitions behind a shield of missiles and drones that no one can do anything about. This was our last best chance to eliminate that conventional threat, that conventional shield that they were trying to build. And the president made the right decision to wipe it out now. That is the goal of this operation, to destroy their conventional missiles and their drone program so they can't hide behind it and finally have to deal with the world seriously about never, ever having nuclear weapons.
The White House sending that statement out earlier today, a live look at the White House, the time in the nation's capital, about 9:10 in the nation's capital. So what we're going to do next is we're going to...
All right, before they ramble on with this dude, I don't need to hear this guy's breakdown of anything. I mean, we're the ones that do the breakdown anyways. We're just seeing if we see any, breaking tweets or posts, I should say posts. There wasn't. All right, so we're going to move on. Lawmakers may suspend gas tax as prices hit highest levels since 2022. Let me go ahead and bring this up. And also, another thing that, when we're talking about all this kind of crazy propaganda, I got better propaganda piece for you guys.
Maybe you need to donate some freaking money. Donate. Maybe you need to donate some freaking money. Maybe you need to donate some freaking money. Donate. Maybe you need to donate some freaking money. Donate some freaking.
True, though. True. All right, let's get into this.
Oil and gas prices continue to surge with the choke point, the Strait of Hormuz, impacted by the ongoing conflict in Iran, as U.S. gas prices now surpassing $4 for the first time since 2022 per gallon. And every different regional, every location has their own impact.
What's up, Christopher Collins? Good morning.
Including in Arizona, as Arizona lawmakers pushing for a fuel waiver to cut some of those prices. We're going to be joined right now by Fox 10's Ashley Rodriguez. Ashley, what are we hearing from these lawmakers? What plan do they have?
Yeah, so the big push today was to get that fuel blend waiver. They believe that is how Arizona drivers are going to save some money at the pump. At the federal level, our Senator, Ruben Gallego, he agrees. He believes that a waiver would pretty much grant us anywhere from 40 to 50 cents savings per gallon. If the waiver is passed and if that waiver is approved, it could show up within a week. Arizona's summer blend fuel is always a bit more expensive, but this year, California refineries are shutting down, and global oil supply out of Iran is being cut off. So Arizona politicians want a waiver to stop using the summer blend and hopefully bring down prices at the pump.
What is the
I appreciate that, Fidel. Thank you.
The real problem with gas prices is the war in Iran. I mean, let's face the elephant in the room. The war in Iran is the problem with gas prices, and we can play around with our blends until we're blue in the face, but it's still the war in Iran is causing gas prices to be high. So if they don't want to do anything about that, then gas prices are going to continue to be high.
Asking environmental regulators for a fuel blend.
Well, yeah, I mean, on a global level, for sure. I mean, if we can just at least suspend a gas tax for our nation, I say for the entire nation at this point, if you want to really double down on your words, suspend all gas tax across the United States. Just until this war is done. That's what I would propose.
Waiver, specifically for Arizona, is also what Senator Ruben Gallego is proposing, guessing the waiver could save drivers anywhere from 40 to 50 cents a gallon.
There's no reason why Arizonans should be paying more for this very, very expensive blend. And I think that that's a legitimate request that we could get the EPA to waive that and start saving money right away.
We also asked Gallego about Senator Mark Kelly's push to suspend the federal gas tax, a savings of about 18 cents a gallon.
The only problem with that is that that will take a longer time, and I would support it. But the problem is you have to go through that. You actually have to have a vote on. It'll go through the House and Senate.
Yeah, California would never do it.
And has to be negotiated.
At the state level, Rep. Julie Willoughby decided to drop her bill for suspending Arizona's gas tax, which would have been another 18-cent savings a gallon.
During these conversations, I was in contact with the EPA under the Trump administration and learned that they were very much a favor of a waiver. A waiver would have gotten us more permanently out of the high gas prices.
All right, so a waiver sounds like it could actually save us some money. It's worth noting that on a national level, drivers everywhere should start to see some savings at the pump starting in May, and that's because the Trump administration and the EPA, they recently passed a temporary fuel blend waiver that pretty much allows for ethanol.
What's up, Desert Outlaw? Shout out to you, by the way. Good
Blended
morning.
fuel to be sold during summer months. It relaxes the air quality standards, but just keep in mind when that savings goes into effect in May, it only lasts for 20 days. We'll send it back to you.
All right, thank you, Ashley. Great reporting. I do have one question for you because we talk about this potentially a waiver to lower some of those gas prices. Has this ever been done before? Is there any precedent?
Yeah, Senator Ruben Gallego was really excited to mention that he was a part of it being done during the Biden administration in 2022 when he got the EPA to go ahead and pass that fuel waiver. And that's where he got some of those numbers from, where you leave the county and you see that gas prices dip about 40 cents, 50 cents, and that's because they don't have to use that summer blend. So he believes that getting a waiver this time around, an emergency waiver, is needed, especially because he would call this an emergency disruption to oil supply. So he believes that it will be granted.
Right, it is an emergency level. For sure that we definitely participated in making that happen, that emergency. All right, we're going to move on. Trump signs order on mail-in. We already just fucking covered that shit, so I don't know why we got to cover it again. We're not going to. Trump to attend birthright citizenship arguments at Supreme Court. We already know that. We already covered that. Iran asked for ceasefire, quote, we will consider. So this came out 2 hours ago. Let's go ahead and bring this up and discuss it real quick. And then we have fueling operations for the Artemis 2 with NASA, because they're going to be launching off this evening as well.
Some other breaking news here that we have been following. As we do know, this is just coming in on Iran. Iran's new leader has just asked the United States for a ceasefire. And that's according to President Trump on Truth Social, as he just shared this post saying, we will consider when the Hormuz Strait is open, free and clear. Until then, we are blasting Iran into oblivion. And I wanted to share that full post here with you on your screen right now. Let's read it here together. Once again, this just coming in from Truth Social saying Iran's new regime president, much less radicalized and far more intelligent than his predecessors, has just asked the United States of America for a ceasefire. We will consider when Hormuz Strait is open, free and clear. Until then, we are blasting Iran into oblivion, or as they say, back to the Stone Ages.
I support that statement, Steve Easy, by the way. Yes, let's get creative.
President Donald J. Trump. So we have a lot of social media reaction coming in here. And once again, this post from Fox News, as we are learning that Iran has asked for a ceasefire. This all coming as President Trump is slated to deliver an address to the nation tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. The president indicated just yesterday that the U.S. will finish attacking Iran within 2 to 3 weeks. President Trump says that he thinks within that time frame, quote, we will leave. This coming in here from Edward Lawrence saying President Trump says the Iranian president just asked the U.S. for a ceasefire. The president adding he will consider it only after the Strait of Hormuz is open, free, and clear. This is a breaking news story just coming in here, and the White House also sharing that post there from Truth Social to their X.
Yeah, this is, I read this morning right when I woke up. Right when I woke up, I looked at my phone and I saw that was the first post I saw.
Platform as well. Now, we had just touched on this before the commercial break, but if you are just tuning in, I wanted to just share with you what President Trump said yesterday. This is a quote from him. He said, "I had one goal. They will have no nuclear weapon, and that goal has been attained, but they will not have nuclear weapons." The president going on to say, "We're finishing the job." And also, I just want to share this here with you. This just coming in to our newsroom there, President Trump on his way to the Supreme Court. But to finish that quote here for you, he said that we are finishing the job, and I think within maybe 2 weeks, maybe a couple of days longer to do the job. Now it's possible that we'll make a deal before that. And now we are seeing here this breaking news. President Trump saying Iran has asked for a ceasefire. Now, President Trump also said that the goal was to set Iran back, and he says it'll take 15 to 20 years for them to rebuild what we've done to them. They have no Navy, they have no military, they have no Air Force, they have no telecommunications. And he says that's why we have regime change. We have nice new leaders. So President Trump saying, once again, the military could end its Iran offensive in 2 to 3 weeks. That will shift the responsibility for the Strait of Hormuz to countries that rely on it for oil and shipping. But we also do know the aircraft carrier USS George H.W. Bush is slated to go to the Middle East along with 3 destroyers, and that's according to 2 U.S. officials, according to the Associated Press.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty big deal. All right, so let's go ahead and move on into our last story for the morning. Fueling operations underway for Artemis 2 mission. That is the NASA operation that's happening. So let's go ahead and bring this up, and we'll quickly discuss it. And also, I'm going to figure out who we're going to be rating as a channel when we're done with this story.
Right. Well, I wanted to just continue to talk a little bit more about Artemis 2, give you some background. It's humanity's first flight to the moon since 1972. And a throwback to Apollo, NASA's Artemis 2 mission will send 4 astronauts on a lunar fly-around. They'll hurtle several thousand miles beyond the moon, hang a U-turn, and then come straight back. No circling around the moon, no stopping for a moonwalk. Just a quick out and back lasting less than...
Right. And then if this goes successfully, the very next operation is planned to be boots on the ground on the moon. You know what I mean?
10 days. But NASA promises more boot prints in the gray lunar dust, but not before a couple practice missions. The upcoming test flight by Artemis astronauts Reed Wiseman, Victor Glover, Christina Koch, and Jeremy Hansen is the first step in settling the moon this time around. The launch is slated for that 2-hour window tonight at 6:24 p.m. Eastern Time. Once again, live now. We'll be bringing you live coverage of the launch. And we are hearing there are going to be some watch parties across the country as well.
Oh, yeah,
to talk more about all of this is...
It's interesting how many people actually do love space.
Les Johnson, he is a former NASA
like
chief technologist at Marshall Space Flight Center, and he worked on Artemis 1 and led innovation.
That's pretty cool. Let's go.
Not only to do science and research, but to kind of bring our economic sphere there eventually, and then on to Mars. So it's a pretty big day.
Absolutely. Now, you worked on Artemis 1. Give us a behind-the-scenes look into the preparation and planning that goes into making a successful mission. What really has been going on behind the scenes here in planning for Artemis 2?
Good question.
Well, for Artemis 2, there are literally thousands of people who have touched this vehicle. And unless your viewers think that's, all a bunch of bureaucrats or whatever, no, you have to have experts and engineers in life support, propulsion, mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, all those disciplines working on this. And it really is truly a team effort in a big way. And today they're fueling the rocket, getting it ready to fly. That's a pretty important time. That's when you have to take that liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen and put it in those tanks, and you worry about leaks and all those kinds of things. It's a very critical moment.
I appreciate that, Bud, by the way. Thank you for that.
Got the
Yes, let's get the likes up, man. I very much appreciate it. You guys don't have to like all the craziness that we presented this morning, but you guys can like it for me and what we do here. So thank you for your laborious work out there, chat.
Operations room folks ready. People have been training for this, and I know the crew is probably a mixture of excited and terrified at the same time, as I know I would be.
Right, and I spoke to NASA just a few days ago about all of this, and
you know what's funny about it, Charles? I'm the exact same way, bro. I'm the exact same way. That's so funny that you said it like that. We're gonna give this guy a couple of minutes. We're not gonna have him ramble on or anything like that. We're just giving him a couple of minutes to get it off, and then we're getting off.
The training these astronauts have had to go through to prepare for this is really extensive. Can you break down for our viewers what that looks like?
Well, the crew really has to train for every possible contingency. You know, you hope everything goes according to plan and there are no issues. But nature is really against you on this whole flight. Space is a very dangerous place. You've got to rely on all these complex systems working perfectly. So the crew, I'm sure, has gone through many off normal operations. They don't want to have an Apollo 13 moment, but I'm sure they've trained for something very similar. So they are extremely well trained. And the goal is that if something happens, they know what to do and they don't even have to think about it because they'll have to act.
Oh, look, the Hollywood. Look, we got Universal Studios over here.
Quickly to respond to it. And that it goes also for the ground crews that are monitoring the rocket and informing the crew every step of the way how that vehicle is performing.
Now, what are the main goals of this 10-day?
Now, we already know. They're going to go out there, fly around. They're going to go past the moon. They're going to go back towards the moon, take some pictures or whatever, and then they're going to leave. They're not even going to land on the moon on this mission. If everything goes correctly on this and they get back successfully or whatever, then the next mission will be boots on the moon. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, I can't thank each and every single one of you guys enough. Obviously, I know this is cliche, but listen, it's very true. I can't do this shit without you guys. So I'm very honored to be able to do this Monday through Friday with you guys, as well as, listen, we're going to have the Diamond Effect tonight at 7:10 p.m. Central Standard Time. It's going to be great conversations, as always. And then, of course, more madness, the world's madness, tomorrow morning. So, listen, stick around. We're going to be raiding our buddy Chaotic Truth. Make sure you guys let him know we're coming through with a Mike Ball raid. And we'll be back tomorrow. Till then, well, also tonight. But much love, honor, respect, everybody. God bless everyone. We'll see you guys very soon.
From the depths of darkness, a voice emerges, a host with a fire burning in his soul.
Whoa, Virginia Chaos gifting out $10 to the Cash App. Bro, thank you so much. He said, here's some freaking money. 2 gallons of gas. Let's go. Thank you, Virginia Chaos.
By the power that only metal can bestow. He takes his stand, refusing to submit.